Hey everyone, this is Norm Farrar, aka the Beard Guy here, and welcome to another Lunch with Norm, the e-commerce and Amazon FBA podcast. Today, we're going to be discussing a few different things. First of all, Prime Day, and then we're going to also be talking about newsletters or whatever comes to mind. We're going to have a Q&A. We might have a special guest appearance as well. All right, so welcome to another Lunch with Norm, the e-commerce and Amazon FBA podcast.
Lunch with Norm. Lunch with Norm. Lunch with
Okay, today we had a last minute cancellation, so this is going to, we thought it'd be a good idea to discuss Prime Day. It was just announced, I believe, today, what the dates are, so we'll get into that. And I reached out to a couple people, and I think one will be coming on very shortly. And we're also going to be talking about newsletters. So I think, and then take some questions as well. Kels, I guess we'll go right into a sponsor and then we'll come right back and let's talk about seller basics. So I'll just read this. I got this one down by now. Hey, Amazon sellers, ever faced account suspensions, ASIN hiccups, or IP headaches? Introducing Seller Basics, your Amazon account's guardian, which is $99 per month. Or if you put in code NORM, you'll have it for $89 a month. Seller Basics offers a dedicated team to shield your business from these challenges. Plus, this membership offers free legal consultations from seasoned e-commerce attorneys. No long-term contracts, cancel with just a month's notice, and you can view Seller Basics as your Amazon account's health plan. You can check them out at sellerbasics.com. And let me see, here's the disclaimer. Seller Basics is not an insurer or a law firm. Consultations come from independent firms. Results may vary. Membership is needed before events leading to claims, and terms apply. Okay, so where is Mr. Kels?
All right. Hello. How are you?
Hello. Good. I still want to talk a little bit about Seller Basics, or firms like Seller Basics and how important it is. I see that there's a bunch of people on already. Thank you for listening. But if you've ever come into a legal snag or just, some questions that you can't fix, and, it might be account suspension, it might be something else. It's so important to get involved with a service like this. Like if you're not involved, it's kind of like insurance for your Amazon account. You can call them up, and it's not a retainer, but you can call them up, ask them questions, and they have connections with people within Amazon. And typically, you can go in and get those resolved. So if you haven't checked them out, I would even just get a consultation. So I don't have an affiliate for these services, but I would highly recommend it. So check it out. For us, we like Paul Raffles and his team over at Seller Basics. All right, now you can come back on.
All right. Well, good to see the Beard Nation here. We got Simon, Steve, and Rad joining us. Hope everyone is having a great Wednesday.
Oh,
Cool
Luke,
Hand
too.
99. Great to see you. And today we're going to be talking about Prime Day 2024. The dates were released just a little bit ago. So they're July 16th to 17th this year. So we're going to be talking about...
Sure, take away my spiel.
I'm just, trying to warm up the crowd here. So good to see Marina as well. So we did release the newsletter about your start on Amazon. I think that was an interesting story. I think I've known pieces of that story, but I haven't heard the whole thing put together.
Yeah.
Do you want to talk about that a little bit?
Yeah, sure. So for me, I think it goes back to 2013, and a buddy of mine, and it's all in the newsletter, but just a little quick Reader's Digest version. He invited me down. Now, back in the day, this is way before ASM, there was something called Archon.
Archon Media.
Yeah, it was even something a little bit different than that. And Jason Kassenbeck was involved with that. And he had in that, it was like a whole media app. And part of it was called PR Kaboom, which got me, I was using press releases beforehand, but this would allow me to go out and put out tons of press releases. So I really loved the app. And then all of a sudden, it was called Archon Central. And it just ended. It was just done, and I was so disappointed that that it ended. But anyways, I knew of Jason from that, and then my buddy Riz calls and he says, "Hey, you know what? There's a thing happening with Amazon. You can sell books." And it was a Kindle course. It was called AMA, and it was with these two guys called Matt Clark and Jason Katzenbeck. And we both knew we knew both of Jason. So we went over there and I didn't think we could do anything with it. So I left it alone. Later on, Riz comes up to me and he says, "Hey, there's something happening in Vegas. I got a free ticket. Let's go." So we went and, saw these guys. He signed up for Rapid Crush. I did later. And, it was really incredible. Lots of hype, 2,500 people. And I saw, I think it was when Richard Branson was speaking. Anyways, Jason and Matt were up there, and I said, "Oh, I got to get into this." And I said to Riz, just kind of weird. I just turned to him and said, "One of these days, that's going to be me." And it was really weird because I'm an introvert. And, all of this being in front of a camera, I had to really learn how to do because even now, today, I am an introvert. I had to learn to come out of my shell and talk to people and, really take courses on how to talk to people, how to work my way into a conversation. So that's still a challenge for me. Anybody who's seen me on a podcast or something I have to do right off the bat knows I start shaking, and that's just me. The kids know about that. I hate it. I turned away. I literally turned away being a master of ceremonies for my sister-in-law because I was that nervous speaking in front of people. But so Riz and I kind of laughed about it. Well, I ended up going over to Mallorca, spending a whack of cash. And I met with a bunch of people I still am good friends with right now. Toma Rabinovich, Dima Kubrick. There was a ton of them. But also I got to know Matt and Jason. And so Jason started this whole thing going. I owe it to Jason. Jason called me up and he said, "Hey, you were talking about some pretty interesting things in Mallorca. I want to come on stage in CellarCon." It was called ASM 17, I think, back then. So that's when I got my first kick at the can and going on stage and talking. But anyways, I just thought there's so much more to it, but I don't want to bore you guys with it. If you're interested in hearing a bit more about the story, you can check it out in the newsletter. Okay, so we are going to be talking about newsletter a little bit later on, but if we have time, we'll also talk about some Q&A if you have any, if we have time. But I was thinking about talking about Prime Day, talking about newsletter, and then the Q&A at the end. All right. So, and no, I am not a natural, Steve. You do. Kelsey knows. I can't do certain things. I hate doing certain things. And actually there was time. By the way, when I went on stage for the first time, now remember, I turned down 50 people. Like I turned down master of ceremonies for my sister-in-law with 50 people wedding. The first time I went on stage was 1,500 people. So I think I practiced 1,000 times. I got sick. I literally got sick. I was in my room going, why did I do this? Why did I do this? My stomach, sick to my stomach. I mean, I was sick. And then just prior to going on stage, I broke a tooth. So yeah, just everything kind of came down. Lots of fun. All right. So let's talk about Prime Day. It was just announced. And by the way, we do have a special guest. He just popped in. Kels. That's not Kelsey, but that's Kevin King. I can't hear you. You're spoiling the surprise.
It might be your audio settings, Kevin. We'll bring you back in a second.
Yeah, it's you know what? It might be just a video of Kevin, and we're just messing with you. But
what's better than a video, Kevin? You can't beat that.
Yeah, that's right. So Kevin, just give us a thumbs up if you think you got it. All right, let's go.
I think I got it.
Ah, you got it. You got it.
What's up, guys?
Hey. Yeah,
What's
things
up?
are going well.
What's
up? Sounds
What's
like
up?
marketing misfits.
A bunch of marketing misfits here. That's right. Kelsey, the team leader, had to fill in for his father on the race.
Yeah. Oh yes, the big Hawaii race. That was
the marketing representing the marketing misfits team. Norm had a bum knee, and so he couldn't go. So Kelsey had to rep Kelsey and Gracie and who else was John and who else was on that team?
Amanda,
that's right. Yeah,
and Alicia from
Alicia. No, not Amanda. Alicia,
yeah,
and Alicia.
And Alicia, yeah.
Oh yeah.
Amanda wasn't on your team. She was on the competing team. Yeah, his wife, John's wife.
Yeah. Crazy day. Crazy event that you put on here.
Yeah, it was an awesome event. All right. So Kev, last minute we had a guest that was coming on, and I can always depend on my buddy Kevin to help us out. So I was going to talk a little bit today about the announcement of Prime Day on the 16th and 17th coming up, just a couple of weeks away. So I thought maybe we could talk about prep. We talk about this usually every Prime Day, but 2 weeks out and a week out, what should we be doing?
Yeah, see, I'm one of the anti-Prime Day guys. I'm one of the I take the opposite side of most people. You won't see me talk about Prime Day in my newsletter. I'll mention it because people need to hear it, but you won't see me doing here's the 7, like everybody and their brother right now is doing, here's the 7 things you need to do for Prime Day, or get ready to do this, raise your ads, lower your ads, do this, make sure your graphics have this. I'm of the opinion that it's a waste of time for the most part. I think Prime Day is great. Don't get me wrong, and ride the wave. And there are a few things that you should do. Make sure you have, some extra inventory, depending on what you're selling. That could depend on, what type of item. If you're selling summer items, for the beach or for whatever, you should probably have a little bit more than if you're selling Christmas ornaments, for example. But no matter what you're selling, you should make sure you got some ample inventory in there. And you only got 2 weeks right now, so it's going to be difficult. If you haven't already kind of done that, to get that shipped in, even if you got it sitting in your garage or in your warehouse, to get that shipped in time is going to be a little bit challenging. You might be able to get it into some of the places, but making sure you have a little bit extra inventory, making sure your pricing, making sure your listing, double checking your listings and your keywords. And I would be running everything through a checker, whether it's Datadog or Helium 10 or whatever, and making sure that you got all your holes punched on your listing. But as far as like creating special graphics for your listing or doing special Prime Day sales or raising your ad spend or lowering your ad spend or doing all this off traffic, I think it's pretty much a waste. Because if you look at it, the only time I would ever lower prices for Prime Day or have a Prime Day special price is if I'm trying to clear inventory. If it's one of my best sellers, and I have decent rank, I would not be lowering the price at all or doing any kind of promotion or any kind of Prime Day deal at all. If it's a product where I'm position 16 and I think I might be able to gain a little bit of momentum by getting up to position 9 or something, maybe a $5 off coupon might make sense, or depending on your price point, some sort of promotion like that might make sense. Or if I got some extra stock that I'm just looking to get rid of, it's just sitting there and I'm discontinuing this product, then I might actually lower the price on that to take advantage of the extra traffic and try to do something. But other than that, all this other gamemanship and other things, I think is a total absolute waste of time and effort. And you're actually, I think a lot of people end up losing money. This game is not about who can sell more. It's about who can make more. So approach everything you do on Prime Day about how is this going to make me money, or put money in my pocket either right now by getting rid of some stuff, or by increasing my rank. Because I'm going to play a little game here to try to bump it. But you got to remember, everybody else, your competition, a lot of them are doing it too. So even though you might lower your price to go from spot rank 16 to spot 9, the other guys ahead of you may be doing something similar. So you may just move up 1 spot or 2 spots, and you put in all this effort, gave all this discount that you didn't need to give, that a lot of people would have bought this stuff anyway. That I think that's my opinion on it. Now, I'm a little bit different opinion when it comes to the holidays. When it comes to like Christmas time, Black Friday and Cyber Monday, and what you do there, that I think you should need to put more effort in, because every day is a Prime Day, almost, between Black Friday and a couple days before Christmas, and the sales are just up, and that's where you want to put the effort. That makes sense. But for a single 1 or 2 day event like this, I think it's fool's gold for the most part. So that's my opinion. It's not what most people say. Most people get all excited about it and think it's great. I just ride the wave. And like I said, I might do a couple of those little tactics depending on my situation on certain products, but don't get caught up in it. Don't get caught up in it.
Yeah, I've seen that happen quite a bit, where you're anxious, especially if you're a new seller for Prime Day. You hear a lot about it. Completely different years ago. Now, like you said, the advertising costs have gone up so much. There's a lot more competition, and you could end up just losing it. Now, if you listen to Brian Johnson, he was just on the podcast, but there's different people out there that are into PPC, and they'll do a limited budget. And when they start their account when they start their campaigns are completely different. They don't run them at the beginning. So I'm not a big fan. I'm like Kevin. I'm not a big fan of pouring a ton of money into them. I'm into, and I know that everybody hears this about optimization. Okay, yep, make sure that's happening. But I like to go out there and like for my clients, I'll go out there and start doing some sort of campaigns before the event. Actually, 2 weeks before the event, we'd like to put out some sort of notification, some sort of email campaign. If you have a newsletter, to advertise it in your newsletter that you're giving out something, or you're providing a special deal. And I'll do a 10% discount or whatever discount that I think I can still be profitable, but will keep the sales going. Because between now and Prime Day, I don't know if you agree, Kevin, but sales will drop a little because people are waiting for Prime Day now.
Yeah, people put off unnecessary stuff. They don't need it right now. If the in-laws aren't coming over this weekend and they need a bread cutter, they're gonna hold off on buying it until Prime Day, hoping for a deal.
Yeah, and the other thing with Prime Day is take a look at the other platforms. Walmart usually last time I think they had Prime Week.
They've already started it right now.
Prime Week.
Yeah, they've already started their whole. It was last week. They started doing, and they're doing some other stuff too, but they started last week.
So these are the platforms, and it's not just Walmart, but take a look at the different platforms and see what you can do. And plus, everybody expects that the 16th and 17th now is Prime Day. They're going to expect deals on that day. If you're not doing that on your website or promoting, just letting people know, then you're missing out. Because with just traffic, there's a lot of people. I know a lot of e-commerce sites that don't depend on Amazon, but people know 16th and 17th now is going to be Prime Day. If you do something on your website that will promote it, or give a simple add-on of something that will get you additional sales. If you don't, you're missing out on a lot of traffic. People are expecting to spend and buy things on those 2 days. Anything else to add to that, Kev?
Nope. I just saw some. This will be in my newsletter tomorrow. I don't know if you saw Destiny's post a couple hours ago. She just sent it to me. And now Buy with Prime. You're speaking about your own website. Buy with
Prime, yeah.
Buy with Prime products are being featured on the home page of Amazon now.
Really?
It's actually a smart move because Buy with Prime has had some trouble getting traction. I have a story that I've been sitting on. I haven't that came out a couple weeks ago, and I just haven't got it into newsletter. But now I'm going to combine that story with what Destiny just said that Amazon's doing, because they've been having trouble getting traction with Buy with Prime. It just hasn't been going as well, as many people using it as they had hoped, and that's one of the reasons they laid off like 30 people 6 months ago or so at Buy with Prime, and they've been trying to get it going. And I haven't dove into it yet, but she just posted on her LinkedIn today about how now certain products, I don't know what the qualifications are, how it works, or if it's random, but they're starting to feature Buy with Prime products on the homepage of Amazon, and it links back to your Shopify site. Somehow, I got to look at the details. I could have that a little bit wrong, but yeah, she was pretty excited about it. It's a pretty big deal.
Buy with Prime, it's a great program.
Yeah, it's a really good program, but they just haven't gotten the traction with it. I don't know why that is. But I'll have the story. I've got some research and stuff on it. I just need to go back and reread it all before I actually say the facts. But they've been having some trouble getting it.
I think people might think that they still have to pay the 15% referral fee.
No, you just pay the fulfillment fee.
And
there is another small fee, I think, for like the credit card processing or something. But it may be built in. I got to take a double look. Take a look at that. I'm not selling on my Shopify site right now, so I just have it as a placeholder. So I'm not using the Buy with Prime.
We have clients that we're dealing with, and for the life of me, I can't get them to use Buy with Prime. I don't know why.
That's like saying I'm not going to use Apple Pay. Like if I go to a website now, Shopify website or anybody's website, I see an ad on TikTok or I see something in Facebook, and I'm like, that looks cool. I'm going to go buy that. And it doesn't have Apple Pay as a payment option. I typically will not pay there unless I really absolutely want this. I will back off and not pay it. If it's an impulse buy, that Buy with Apple Pay button gets me to. Oftentimes I had to heck with it. I just bought something the other day, and I probably wouldn't have bought it. It's some sort of sleep thing. It's some sort of it's a pre-order, but it's a deal that goes over your head like a headband kind of thing. It's supposed to help moderate your sleep and like help you really sleep soundly and all kinds of stuff. And it's like $300. And I saw it mentioned, and I ended up going to their website, buying it, because Apple Pay was there. But if that wasn't there, I might have had second thoughts. And the same thing with Buy with Prime. I think people that are not using the Buy with Prime that are selling off Amazon on a product site, I think that's a mistake. And so I don't know why your clients won't do that.
Yeah, it's
almost like say I'm not going to take Discover or Amex or MasterCard. We only take Visa.
Yeah.
It doesn't make sense. Maybe they don't understand it.
Well, take a look at. There's a ton of cards out there, just what you said, but I get a lot of things delivered to the house, or I go onto a lot of sites, and there's still a lot of sites that will take either Visa, MasterCard, no American Express because of that extra point. But
that's stupid.
It's really stupid.
I mean, American Express has some rules in certain categories like gambling and adult materials and things like that where they just can't. But because of that extra 1%, that's not going to make or break you. If that 1% is going to make you or break you, you got other problems. And it used to be Amex would pay you a day or two later. So it was a cash flow thing, but that's all gone away too now. It's all lumped into one when you're doing your processing. But in the old days, there was an issue there. And then the old, really old days, like you go back this far, probably 25, 30 years ago, when you had to do the little things.
God, yeah.
And you had a little piece of paper with the raised letters, the embossed letters, and you you turn those into the bank like you would checks. You would go
Yeah.
down every day at the bank. That's how you got paid. For all you youngins out there, we couldn't process it. You know, someone would call over the phone. It wasn't go online and order. It was call 1-800, and Norm's sitting there with his secretary, and she's like, he's looking over her shoulder. How big is this order? How big is this order? She's like writing out everything.
Yeah.
Gets the credit card number, and then she has to do one of those little slips. And then you take that slip, and every day you take it down to the bank and you deposit it like you would cash or a check, and then you wait a week or something to get paid. And Amex back in the day was slow, was a little bit slower for whatever reason. So that's why some people didn't do it, because they're like, I need a cash flow.
So we used to be in the promotional incentive, trinkets and trash business, right? Cups, keychains, but we did it for massive companies. And so the one company, let's see, Jessica, you'll know M&M Meat Shops. So they're a big franchise across Canada, and we ran all of their corporate uniforms. So every one of their franchisees, we had their sweatshirts, their t-shirts, their golf shirts, their hats, mugs, pens, whatever it was. But there was a ton of different things. And there was, at that point, there's a lot more now, but there was 300 and some odd franchises across Canada. And each one of them would call in or fax in their information. We'd have to write down per slip their number, their everything, right?
And address, everything, yeah.
Everything. And then rip it off, go to the bank. And it wasn't one or two. It was like hundreds of these. And we'd have somebody just writing out these bloody things because you wouldn't have the card.
Yeah. Yeah. It's Kelsey's looking at us like, what are these guys talking about? This is this is before his time. But you just punch it in, you just hit a button and it pays. You just connect your phone and it's done. Yeah. It didn't used to be like that. I saw someone just posted that Jessica posted Costco in Canada only takes MasterCard.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's true. They in the US but they also take debit cards and cash. But that's because MasterCard is paying them millions and millions of dollars to do that. So they're making that up on the flip side. So that's their case. And Costco is one of the biggest retailers in the world. So it's massive volume. And if MasterCard can go in there and say, I don't know the exact numbers that Costco does, but it's in the 100 billion, maybe it's even $200 or $300 billion in sales. I have to go look that. Maybe Kelsey, if you can look that up real quick, just Google that. What does Costco do on annual sales worldwide? But for MasterCard to be exclusive on, let's call it $500 billion in worldwide sales, they'll pay for that.
Plus,
they'll lower the discount rate because they charge typically anywhere from, you're paying from 2.9% to as much on riskier stuff, 15-16%, gambling and some adult products and stuff. So they'll lower that half a point, and Costco works on pretty low margins, supposedly. I don't know that I believe everything that you hear about what they say. It's only a 7% markup. I think that's bullshit. But maybe a 7% over, once they factor. It's kind of like when the movie companies say that we're going to give you, Tom Cruise, we're going to give you 7% of the gross box office, but out of that comes a bunch of other fees before that 7%. It's not the total dollars, it's the net gross. There's probably something about that with Costco, but they're not working on a 7% margin. It's better than that.
And the other thing is that the members themselves join the Costco MasterCard as well. So you've got hundreds or thousands of people joining MasterCard
and using that MasterCard for other stuff. And MasterCard's getting that little jig off of every single one of those that they get. That 2.9%, they don't get everything. MasterCard itself that underwrites it is getting about a half a point or something off of that. A lot of that goes to the bank. So if you have a Citibank MasterCard, Citibank's getting 1 or 2% of that. If you have a Capital One MasterCard, they're getting, because they're the ones that are actually underwriting the loan, underwriting the money, is the bank, Capital One or Citibank, not MasterCard. MasterCard is one of the most profitable business. I just saw a stat. I get a newsletter called Compounding Quarterly. It comes out every week, and MasterCard and Visa are two of the companies he highly recommends investing in because their margins are something like 70% profit margins. It's crazy profit margins that they have because they're running such serious volume, and they just take that little tiny sliver of a half a point or whatever. It may be 0.25. It's something, it's very small, but it adds up when you're doing that kind of serious volume. And so that's how that whole system works. So that's how you have airlines. Now airlines, most people don't realize this, they don't make their money flying airplanes. They make their money off of their frequent flyer program. You go Google this if you want to learn more about it. It's kind of fascinating. You look at like American Airlines. Why did American Airlines just change with Barclays, their main credit card, their Aviator MasterCard, to where if you spend money on the credit card, you get actual credit towards elite status. You don't have to. In the old days, you had to, on most airlines, you have to sit in the seat and fly a certain number of miles to get certain levels of status. Now with American Airlines, you can get executive platinum, their top tier status, which means free upgrades and free bonuses for international, going from coach to businesses and all kinds of stuff, just by spending a couple $100,000 a year on your credit card. And as a business owner, a lot of us on Amazon, that's an easy thing to do.
Yeah.
For the average person, that's not, but we're also their type of customer. So that, and they're willing to give you that because Citibank or whoever will come to them, and Barclays in this case, and will pay them millions of dollars for the right to actually be their exclusive to give out those frequent flyer miles. They sell that stuff, and it's huge profit on that. And that whole industry is built around. There's some changes about to come. I think
it did with Delta.
Yeah, and so it's changes about to come in the way that's reported as tax reasons and stuff like that.
Oh.
They're fighting it. It's if you look at some of the frequent flyer programs, there's websites that follow this, like My Points Guy. Yep. There's some legislation that's trying to kind of dilute the value of this. But yeah, it's an interesting concept. So we're getting off the topic here, but
and that's fine. Today we're all over the map. So it's fine. I mentioned that at the beginning that we're going to be talking about a variety of different things. But one of the things, going back to these loyalty points that you don't realize, my buddy Russ, he's got a really interesting story. I should actually talk about it one day, but he had an audit done. Auditor came in, took a look, his books were all pretty good. And then he came across his one line item, and that was his credit card. Well, he was putting so much money on, he had tons of points, but he took a trip with his family, went to Florida. He got a $40,000 fine because a business credit card is not for personal use, and he did not claim the tax. So he did not claim the income based on that. So he got fined $40,000 for using this credit card. So just crazy. Be careful. Like my credit card points for business, I never use personal. Never.
You notice that I know on American Airlines, I fly American a lot. They actually ask you. This didn't used to be there, but they actually ask you when you're booking a flight, when you're putting in, I want to go from Austin to Toronto or whatever. It says, is this for business or personal? It's a button you got to push now, and I think they're logging that.
Yeah, Delta too,
for auditing purposes. That didn't used to be there.
Yeah,
and so that may be exactly like what you're saying. Could be around that, but yeah, that they're valuable. I mean, in my case, when I get frequent flyer miles, my rule is I won't redeem them unless I can get at least 2 cents per mile. They're worth about a penny per mile.
Mm-hmm.
Some cards like American Express, you can use your miles to pay your bill. So if you got 500,000 miles on an Amex, like I have way more than that, $1 billion store. So I just got a lot because paying for a lot of stuff on a card, you get bonuses and everything. But I said, I just curious what it would give me. It said, pay your bill with the miles. So I hit the button and it said, okay, 500,000 miles or $5,000 off your bill. I'm like, okay, that's cool. That's $5,000 cash, but I can actually use that for a plane ticket, or for like you and I going to a podcast show in August. And I looked at the price of the hotel, and it was like $1,100 or something for the nights to pay for this Gaylord in DC. I'm like, for 3 nights, and I'm like, what can I do in miles? But the miles was only like 70 something thousand miles, so that's almost a 2 cent. Almost by the time you add taxes stuff to the hotel, it's like 2 cents to a mile. That's a better deal than taking the cash. So that's how I look at it and try to game it. And if I can get
What's
more,
the site? There's a site out there, Kev.
Well, there's points.me. Is one where you can go and it'll tell you like what's the best, who's like when I went to Japan back in April, I was trying to get airline tickets and I wanted to fly business class, and American wanted some ridiculous amount, like 700,000 miles for round trip in business class. I'm like, no way am I paying that.
Yeah.
So I went on this points.me and it said, on Continental, not Continental, on United, used to be Continental, on United, I still call them Continental. United, you can actually go for 200,000 miles round trip. And I was like, oh shoot, I'm not in the United program. So then it tells you, well, you can transfer from, if you got, I forget who it was, Amex or Marriott or something, you can transfer them over into the United program. And so I was looking to transfer, but for whatever reason, I didn't have enough miles in the one that could transfer. But yeah, you play that kind of game. And that's how a lot of us, like there's even a little group that Tim Jordan and I and Ali Ramirez and Mark and a few other, I'm surprised you're not in it, Norm. We got to get you in it. It's called EP, Executive Platinums on American. Well, because you fly Delta, I guess that's why you're not there.
Yeah.
But we're in this little group and we share little tactics and stuff. And there's another one called Expert Flyer, another website where it will show you availability for like points redemptions and where the best seats are and what your odds are if you're going to get an upgrade or not. So you can say, I'm not going to take the 313 flight to Detroit. I'm going to take the 407 because there's 9 empty seats versus only 1 on the 313. So my chances of getting a free upgrade are better or whatever. There's all kinds of ways to game the system.
I was talking about my horrific trip to Turkey coming back. When I was, I paid extra to, let's see, I was paid extra for a wing. Okay. So
a window seat, you mean?
Yeah,
over the wing, which is the most stable, safest part of the plane.
Right. And the side hooked in, so I could only put my one knee, and my other one had tons of leg room. And I'm sitting here going, I have to sit in this seat for 7 or 8 hours with my knee bent. And I've got bad hips, bad knees. And I'm sitting, so I complained, and they wouldn't move my seat. This is your assigned seat. So anyways, it's a long story, but I was able to move my seat, but it was uncomfortable. It was one of the worst flights I've ever been on. But why I'm saying this is I would have known if I would have gone to Seat Guru or an app like that to check out your seats. So, if you're taking a flight, just because there's a window seat, I always try to get a window, but usually it's not a problem. I like flying in business class. I'm a big guy. I got bad hips, so I'm usually in business class or premium economy, but there's still a lot of bad seats.
Yeah, and Seat Guru will show you, like you said, the window seat, because I like those too, because you get a lot of times a little extra room. You can there's a little hole at the window. You get a couple extra inches. You can lean in there or put your shoulder in there or elbow or whatever. But sometimes that window is actually filled in. It's actually like a window. It looks like a window from the outside of the plane, but on the inside, it's completely walled off.
Yeah.
And Seat Guru will tell you that. And I've had it where I thought I was getting a window seat, and it's one of those non-window window seats. And Seat Guru will tell you that. They'll tell you if you're next to the bathroom. People can be lining up on a long flight to, standing in the aisle. Smells coming out of there. Tell you which seats don't recline or which ones a little bit wider. That's a good site that everybody should be using. It's free too.
Yeah. So the worst site, I had to go to Taiwan, and it was a quick flight. My brother and I decided that we'll go to the airport. We bought tickets at the airport. Okay. That's how last minute it was. And we paid a lot of money for these tickets because it was last minute at the airport, and Air Canada will screw you any way they can. And we ended up the very last row. Seats don't recline. Economy, right beside the bathroom. The worst flight ever.
Oh yeah.
Oh, it's terrible. Okay. So, there was something else I was going to talk about on travel. Yeah, lounges. What do you think about lounges? Are there any particular lounges that you like to stay in or use when you're traveling?
Yeah, I mean, some of the better lounges are in Asia, Europe, and I mean, London and Germany have some pretty good lounges. The United States, for the most part, has really bad lounges. I mean, you have a couple good ones in like San Francisco and
Polaris.
yeah, and a couple in New York, and but even the Miami lounges are not that great. A lot of these big hubs, Chicago's is okay. Dallas's is. I was just in their first class premium flagship lounge or whatever, and I was not impressed. I mean, they had someone in there making fresh tacos, I guess. So I guess that's an upgrade, but it I wasn't really impressed. But the best ones I've seen are in Singapore and Hong Kong. There's some really, and actually Japan, Tokyo, at Narita. The Japan Airlines one there is they do free massages. And you just book it and you get like a free 15-minute massage in this little massage spa. And then in Qatar, Qatar was the best. With Qatar Airways, when I went to the World Cup, that's the best. You drive up to the airport and there's a special entrance from the street, special security, like from the street. You don't even walk in with everybody else and like peer off to the right where it says VIPs. You actually have your own VIP entrance at the end of the terminal, and you walk in, and it's like its own little security right there, scanning the X-ray machine, and right once you exit the X-ray machine, you're right into the lounge, directly into the lounge, and it's a beautiful lounge, also with a spa, but they do even more there. Everything's free, and then they do, the food was really good. That's probably the best lounge I've ever been in, is the Qatar lounge and Qatar Airways lounge, but there's. As far as chain lounges, I know a lot of them, if you have the Capital One card or some of these Centurion lounges, those things always seem to have a line outside the door now.
They've limited it.
Problem getting in them. And I know Delta just made some changes on theirs about how many guests you can have. I'm usually in the One World lounges, the American Airlines ones. So that's usually, or their partners, British Airways or Cathay Pacific or whoever. But yeah, there's a Malaysia lounge I was in one time in Kuala Lumpur that was for Malaysia Airlines that was really, really good too. The best, you'd like it, Norm. They had Haagen-Dazs ice cream, those little cups. And I'm like in a little freezer. And you just
I don't eat from the cups anymore.
You just go over and you grab one of the little cups of Haagen-Dazs.
Nope, you're not tricking me anymore.
They had like 7 different flavors. And I think I was in there I had like a 3-hour layover. I think I went through 4 or 5 of those cups at least. Wow. Those little cups. That was.
But a lot of and the reason I'm talking about this is, when you travel to these events, so you arrive to the airport, a lot of times, you're 2 or 3 hours, international flight here from Canada, it should be there 3 hours in advance. Well, what do you do? Or if you're on a layover, one of the things, and I always taught the kids about this too, you could be out there and you could be having these speakers blasting and you can have this slow Wi-Fi and all these people running around you, or you can go, and even if you don't have a card, a lot of the times you could pay to get into the lounge. Now, sometimes since last year, they've changed some of this, but if you want to, you can go in and you can like $40 and you can go in. So if you have a regular American Express card, you want to go to Centurion, you can pay $40, go in and spend up to 3 hours in that lounge.
Or if you spend enough money on that card, you can go in for free.
Right. But I always would highly recommend, because you can get work done. The Wi-Fi is better. There's usually good food. Like you were talking, I called you the one day and I said, have you ever checked out the Polaris? I was in San Francisco.
Yeah, I
and it was a beautiful lounge. But like Delta Lounge in Atlanta. So it's a major hub for Delta. It's a beautiful, and they have different lounges, but the main lounge is really quite nice. You get stuff done, and it's just a better way to travel. And there's another thing that if you're not willing to do that, or if you can't do that, there's a lot of these. It's relaxation areas where you can go in. You can rent a room. It has a TV. It has a workspace. You can go and take a shower, and it's $30 an hour.
Yeah, they have those like in London and stuff. And I've seen them. I've done them in London.
Yeah.
It's like it's like, I forget the price, but yeah, something like $30 an hour. But yeah, you go in there and you get a shower, and it's actually a little private area. You can take a little nap or whatever if you want. I've seen some of these little pods, usually sleep pods in some airports, like out when you outside the gates, they have like these big things that it's like a little sleeping area. You go in there and you see them for women to breastfeed, but there's also some that kind of look like that, but it's actually for you to go in there and take a nap, or to go in there and just have some privacy if you need to get on a phone call and yell at the kids or something.
Yeah. Yeah, I've used that many times. But these are the little things that, there's sometimes, I'm not going to waste my money on that. But these things help you travel and take the stress off traveling. And when you do a lot of traveling, or if you're going to an event, or you don't want to miss that gap. And like nowadays, back in the day, it was a lot different. And I'm talking about just a year ago. For Delta, Wi-Fi was really sketchy. Now they've got it on a lot of their flights, now that it's free Wi-Fi, high speed, and as long as you're a member. It's awesome. You don't really miss that beat. A lot of the time, like in the past, if we wanted to communicate, it might have been a WhatsApp chat, or there was no chat until the end of the flight. So these are things.
Remember the days when you had a phone in the back of the seat in front of you? There was actually a phone.
Yeah, that's right.
There's one per every row of 3 seats. You have 3 seats. There's one in the middle. The middle seat in front of you would have a phone in it. And you'd pick up the phone and swipe your credit card, and then you could call to the ground. In some planes, and they didn't have them in the back of the seat, but there'd be one at the front, by the bathroom, by the front, and one in the back where it's like a payphone. Like you go up there and stand. Remember those days?
I remember it in the front. You'd pop it out and swipe your card, and like $7 a minute later.
Yeah, something like that. Yeah, I did one of those one time and called my dad, and he's like, "Where are you?" I said, I don't know, somewhere over Nebraska. And he's like, "What? Why are you calling me? Why are you wasting this kind of money, $2 a minute or whatever it was?" I was like, "Cause it's cool. I just want to do it."
Oh, yeah. So a lot of people don't remember those. But if anybody has any questions, or, we could take one, maybe two before the end of the podcast. Kind of went into the travel side of things. But anything else that we could talk about travel-wise, since we're on travel?
Well, some people should be traveling to Canada with us.
Oh,
some people should
there we
actually
go.
be, some people should I be considering, you want to come hang and learn all kinds of cool stuff like this, just shooting the shit. That's what we're doing in August in Canada.
Yeah. So that's called our Collective Mind Society. And that's happening the August 4th until the 9th. And it's starting in Vancouver, ending in Calgary. It's going to be quite the trip. I mean, if you're an entrepreneur, if you want to just hang and do something completely different, like a once in a lifetime experience. And when I say that, like, look at our last trip with the Formula One. Like, everybody that came gave us like raving reviews for what we did.
Yeah, no, it's going to be a really cool trip. I mean, there's no presentations. It's not like one of these conferences or something. It's Norm and I, and we got right now about 8 other people. We have a few spots left, so it's a small group of people. And we start in Vancouver. We have a nice meal in Vancouver, and then we get on this train that goes through the rock. This train's expensive, but it's first class. I mean, they're serving us breakfast and lunch on there. It's got clear glass ceiling so you can see, and we're driving through this just stunning Rocky Mountain terrain and just enjoying the sights and the wildlife and everything else. And then we stay the night in the hotel about halfway, and then we get back on the train the next day, and then we continue on, and we end up at Lake Louise, and we're staying at the Fairmont in Lake Louise. This is another really expensive hotel, but it's right on the edge of Lake Louise, just stunning, just lake in this valley. And then we're going up to the Icefields Parkway and going on some glaciers and some cool stuff there, and then ended up in Calgary and doing some fun stuff in Calgary. So it's just hanging out, having a good time, traveling together, shooting the shit, having some cigars, whiskey at night if that's your thing. If not, that's okay. And also enjoying some nice meals and good company. So it's a fun little kind of hangout type of thing. And if there's anybody listening that might want to join us, we got
Just let us know.
couple spots. This is not a moneymaker for Norm and I. We actually, Norm and I were talking about the other day. We're looking at the numbers and we're like, holy cow! I think this is more like a charity event for us. So it's like this is not a moneymaker. So it's not cheap, but the price has zero. We're talking about margins a minute ago on credit
Zero.
card. This is negative margins for this. We're just it covers everything except your airfare, so you don't have to pay for anything, other than maybe if you do some laundry or incidental stuff. But covers everything, hotel, food, everything. But hopefully some of you, somebody listening might be able to join us. We got a couple spots left.
And the quality of the people that are going to be on there too. They're going to be great entrepreneurs.
We got rid of Kelsey, right? So we upped the quality because you said Kelsey can't go, right?
Oh yeah, that's right. Yeah.
We were a little worried. We had to raise the level of quality, so we had to kick Kelsey out.
That's it.
It's me.
But then he said he might bring Gracie, and we said, okay, you're back in.
Oh. So I think we're coming to the end of the podcast. If you're interested in the Collective Mind Society, check it out. We're hoping that this is going to be an annual thing. Our first event was spectacular. It was fantastic. We did a lot of different things. Even there, we didn't make any money on that. And like that one private show with Marshmello, the VIP tickets with the cars and Ed Sheeran. I mean, that's
one we didn't make money. It's like Norm and I, we got into it. We're like, you know what? Let's just make sure this is like the best, and we don't care. Let's just spend a little money, even if it's coming out of our pocket. So I think we lost $3 or $4 grand each on that one. And but we were like, this is cool, man. We're having a good time. We enjoy doing this. So we're doing this. This is not a money making thing. This is out of love, and we just love hanging out with entrepreneurs and doing this kind of stuff. So it's more of a, that's what I say. It's an entrepreneur charity event.
Yeah,
donating to the Canadian economy.
That's right, I guess. Okay, so Kevin, thanks for the last minute.
Yeah, no problem.
I love it. I can always depend on you.
No problem. I moved a couple of things around. I got to jump back to one of them now. It's still going for another 30 minutes, but no problem, man. Glad to come on.
All right.
Sorry someone didn't show up, but glad to fill in.
Okay, buddy. So we'll talk to you soon.
All right. Take care, man.
All right.
All right.
Okay, everybody. So I hope you learned a little bit of something today, a little bit about Prime Day, a little bit about travel. Again, like I said at the beginning, I didn't know where it was going to go. And it was awesome that Kevin could show up. But there are certain things, like travel is so important to all of us, and these little travel hints. And if you do have any questions about travel or about loyalty points or about whatever it is, put it in the group, and we'll try to get the answers for you, because sometimes you get that double the points or triple the points or quadruple the points. Man, they add up quickly, and not having to pay for a trip or a hotel room one of these days, it adds up. All right, everybody. So, Kels, is there anything else?
All right. Well, I shared the Collective Mind Society link here if you're interested in checking it out. It's Collective Minds with an S, society.com. So the trip is August 4th to 9th. So check that out. Also, your latest Marketing Misfits episode with Mark DeGrasse came out yesterday. So I also dropped that link here. Check it out. That is Norman Kevin's podcast that launched about, say, I guess 2 months ago.
Right. Yeah. So what we're doing is we're gathering content right now. We've got a bunch of episodes in the can, but we're just editing them, putting them up, and then we'll start to market it a lot more. They're really cool stories. I had a podcast before called I Know This Guy, and this is a cross between I Know This Guy and AM/PM podcast. You merge those two together. It's really kind of cool. Kevin and I do a lot of bantering back and forth. And it's fine. It's really interesting to see how we progress. The first one, where we weren't sure, we're both podcasters, how to talk to each other. And then like the 10th one, I think we had, where we're just going back and forth, and it's just emerging. So over the next, 10, 20, 30, be interesting to see how this goes. But that's the Marketing Misfits. They come out every Tuesday. Okay, I think that's it. So join me every Wednesday at noon Eastern Standard Time. And thanks for being part of the community. If you want more of The Beard, check out our newsletter or our WhatsApp group or Facebook. All right, everybody. See you next Wednesday.
Entrepreneur.